How we know each other. I've known McKay since birth. Um, we were either blessedly fortunate or unfortunate to grow up as siblings. So McKay's 2 years older than I am. But we're brothers and had to put up with each other throughout all of our childhood. How I got into Salesforce. I was working as a wood craftsman. I was running a woodworking shop here in Montana, making custom wooden doors before I got into Talent Stacker. I got into Talent Stacker. I had actually heard Bradley Rice when he first went on to the Choose FI podcast a few years before that, and kind of logged it away as an interesting, just an interesting sounding thing. And I was trying to run my own business at that point, so I kind of, shuttled it away. But at this point, I heard him again on the Side Hustle Nation podcast when he was talking with Nick Loper. And at that point, my boss had just put me on extended overtime, and it kind of irked me. So I decided I was switching careers. Yeah.
I had a very similar story to Daniel, actually. I was the engineering director at a small company that did UV disinfection solutions. And the company was bought out, and new management was creating kind of a toxic overwork culture. And I decided I was no longer interested in being there. However, this position had me at a location in Florida where there wasn't a whole lot of other mechanical engineering jobs locally, and my wife and I weren't ready to move yet. So I started looking for remote work job opportunities that wouldn't be a massive pay decrease from what I had been doing in mechanical engineering. And so Daniel told me about the interview that Bradley did on Side Hustle Nation, and I listened to that in the last few weeks of my prior job, and decided it was of interest enough that I would take a look at it once I hit my last date. So I did. As soon as I hit my end date, gave it a couple weeks of breathing and just enjoying not having a job, and then looked up the 5-day challenge and got started with Trailblazer and just seeing, the very basics of going from I don't even know what Salesforce is to deciding this is of interest enough that I'm going to pursue it. And that's when I signed on with Talent Stacker.
I was kind of, hit with the same thing. That is kind of a lot of money. At that point in time, that was a significant amount of money for me. But I looked at it as I was never really a particularly tech-oriented person to begin with. I was doing woodworking before. I had my degree in wildlife biology. Most of my stuff that I have ever done in life has not been tech-oriented at all. And I figured if this provided any sort of resources that would help me learn the tech a little faster and or make me more competitive or help me transition a little sooner than I would have otherwise, it was worth it. Same thing with the, I'd say one of the big things that really helped too is the accountability you have when you're in a group. Otherwise, I know I would have signed up for Trailhead, and a couple weeks in, I would have, okay, I'm already working overtime at a shop. No, I don't have time to devote myself to this in the evenings if I didn't have someone else I was accountable
to. For me, I was much more on the fence about joining Talent Stacker because, as you said, there's a ton of the materials available for anyone to read, view, see for free. And so initially I was just thinking, I can do this myself. I don't need a program. Talked with Daniel about it, he did say that for him it was beneficial, and I started to look at it more of like I don't know, the benefits of structure. It's kind of like the same thing of, going to university, of all those engineering courses and information is available on Wikipedia. You can go learn calculus from Wikipedia, but having someone there to explain it, to walk you through it, to have the group around you, to have it structured in a format that you learn A before B before C before D, instead of just getting all of them at once and trying to figure out how they fit together. That for me was why I decided to join Talent Stacker, was for the structure and the community format.
For me, I would say it was probably the study groups. Like I said, the accountability of knowing that, hey, I was going to be chatting with these other 4 people next week. We're all supposed to be progressing at about the same rate. I should probably make some sort of progress this week, or I'm going to be way behind them. That was probably one of the big things for me, is just the accountability of knowing that I was supposed to be meeting with a couple other individuals in a week.
Yeah, the study groups for me were helpful, but I saw the most value from the volunteer project. That for me, with the deadlines, the team, all working together on a solution and creating solutions together, was incredibly valuable.
It was a big adjustment for me in general, starting to be computer focused. I've always been a logical person. Like I said, I've never been very tech oriented. That was a pretty big hurdle for me initially, is not just learning it, but wanting to learn it. Like I recognized that I needed to make a change if I was going to shift careers. But like I said, I've never really been a tech-oriented person. So for me, that was a pretty big jump to go from having no real interest in computers or tech to this is what I do, and this is, I'm on a computer all day, every day. That was a pretty big jump for me. The other one I would say comes back down, we were talking about the challenges we faced, was feel like I'm harping on a dead horse at this point, but I was doing a lot of overtime down at the shop, and I would get home and I was doing my Salesforce Trailhead studying about 10 o'clock at night, and I don't think I was super productive trying to learn Trailhead at 10 o'clock.
Weren't retaining
at night
100% of information.
So I would say that was a challenge for me too, is just trying to be productive late at night, actually learning anything.
Not so much on the challenging side for me. Salesforce was very much a natural fit, which is probably why Daniel recommended it to me when he heard that I was looking for.
McKay's always been the tech member of the family, so
I've been the tech member. I've done, web hosting technician. I've, done the engineering, so Excel formulas, the SQL statements, programming. All of this is right up my alley, and so it was for me, my background was like a 90% fit for everything here, and so it was a very easy learning curve. It was just putting in the time. So yeah, for me, it wasn't so much the challenges as well as just the excitement and the fun of learning something new.
Like I said, a lot of it was just the logic-based thinking. When you're building a door, you start with a pile of 4/4, 8-foot lumber, and you're handed a shop drawing with a door on it with a couple dimensions and told to build it. So it's mostly just a process of logical thinking. Hey, I've got boards this size, what can I make from it? And if I know that this machine takes off an 1/8 inch and this machine is going to take off a 1/16 of an inch, and then this one over here is going to remove, Y amount. You're basically just thinking through the entire process, one step at a time, how it's going to go through the entire building, and then designing, working backwards. If I want this to be my finished product, what do I need to do to start with, and what do I need to cut things to, and things like that. Another thing that I would say was applicable is I'd done some training in lean manufacturing, which is all about looking for and identifying the pinch point in your business and your operation. What's the what do they call it? The theory of constraints. What's the next constraint in the business, and how can you remove that? From a manufacturing point of view, it's, if I have product, cycling through the building all the time, where's going to be the bottleneck where everything gets slowed up? So looking at things from an efficiency point of view, I was already doing just in a different context. So, I just switched my logic and efficiency to look at things a little differently in Salesforce. For me, confidence, I don't know that I was super confident. I felt like I was getting a reasonable grasp on Salesforce at that point. Reasonable. But I still felt pretty out of my element, to be honest. I saw a lot of people I knew and were going through talent stacker, like the guy in my volunteer group or on the volunteer project with me who got the offer. I saw a lot of people getting contacted by recruiters. I had received a couple of contacts from recruiters, things like that. So that helped because I knew that they were out there actively looking for someone with this skill set. So that helped me give me the confidence. The other part I would say is I talked with Brad and Anita before about how I went about looking for my first job. And I think that gave me confidence because I knew I was deliberately applying for jobs that had 10 or fewer applicants. So I tried to narrow down the field as much as possible. So I was only applying for jobs that didn't have very many applicants. You go into LinkedIn, you see these ones that, there's 150 applicants or whatever. I was deliberately ignoring those ones. When I first got certified, I tried applying to, just whatever jobs came across, and I was not really seeing much in the way of luck. After the volunteer project, I narrowed it down, and I only applied to jobs with 10 or fewer applicants. And I started getting a lot of interviews right off the bat and landed a job within a couple of weeks of doing that. So seeing the response once I narrowed down my search, that gave me the confidence going into the interviews, because I'm like, well, I have 8 other interviews this week, so something's bound to work out well.
No, I bypassed the whole job search process because Daniel was working as a consultant at the time and had a couple of clients that were looking to transform from him doing consultant work to someone doing full-time work. And so I had just barely wrapped up my admin cert, and Daniel passed me off to one of them and said, hey, these guys really need help ASAP. My company doesn't have time for me to go work for them that much. Are you interested? So within 10 days of finishing my admin cert, I had interviewed and accepted a job with them. So I literally did not have to go looking at all.
That was great. Like I said, I'd been looking to transition for a job. When I started getting a bunch of interviews, told you I buckled down and started applying to a whole bunch, being a lot more selective in the jobs I was applying for. Started doing a lot of interviews. Actually, I just quit. I decided that now that I was certified, I had done the volunteer project, things like that, I was going to quit so I could actually focus and spend a little bit more time on the interviews and the job applications and things like that. So a little bit of nerves quitting when you don't have a job lined up, but I was definitely relieved when a job was offered within, I think it was about 2 weeks of me doing that. So yeah, that was great.
Similar situation for me. I had decided I was done with my job and quit, and then picked up Salesforce and crash course through all the training and got my certs and did the interview and stuff like that. But yeah, the the need that is out there, and realizing that, maybe as a brand new admin, I can't do everything, but I can do a majority of what they need. I was talking with them through their needs and what they were looking for with their organization. That was really cool to know that, even brand new at this thing, I can be really contributing to solving problems and to creating value for this company. And so, it was a relief to not be unemployed after close to 3 months of having gone by from my prior job. But it was a fast enough turnaround that we did okay, and it was a good experience just to see how much those skills were in demand.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
And I would say that was one of the things that drew me into Salesforce in the first place is Brad's interview with Nick, and then I spent some time browsing the Salesforce job boards and just seeing how much demand there was for people and also what they paid. That was one of the draws coming into Salesforce to begin with. Is I didn't want to go back to school and I have to, learn something for 3 years in order to switch careers or something like that. So the fact I could pick it up fairly quickly and that there was demand for it, and that I could actually find a job fairly quickly, those were two of the things that really brought me into the Salesforce ecosystem to begin with.
My prior experience really tailored me to pick this up easily. And I've been able to work with others through the volunteer projects and study groups, respond to various questions in the Trailblazer community, or even a couple of friends that I've told about Salesforce and they've started taking a look at it, that are, I guess it's not so intuitive and natural, and they're definitely working at it harder than I did. But even then, even if it's not a natural intuitive click, I can still see the skills that they have built and how they would be valuable. If I was an employer, I would still be able to look at what they can do in Salesforce, and it is needed, it is valuable. So even if it is a difficult change, don't give up on it. You may fail your certification 3 times before you pass, but that's okay because someone still needs those admin skills that have.
I would say that for me, the advice I can give is to keep learning. I still run across things frequently that I don't know about. And I think that there is a difference between, I don't want to say that there are Salesforce admins who kind of get comfortable and kind of quit learning, but there are people in every job who get comfortable and kind of quit learning. And if you want to stand out and progress, there's a lot to learn. Keep learning, and it'll definitely make a difference for you.